And one of the consequences of Alexander the Great's, conquest of the known world at that time was the Hellenistic syncretism, which was a union of Greek and Egyptian cultures, ideas, philosophies, religious belief, and practice, all coming together to form one solid tapestry. Now, what is important about that is that the Neoplatonic school flourished in Alexandria. Okay, and so what is Neoplatonism, right? Everybody's talking about it. It's everywhere. It's on every YouTube channel. 1,000 years, 1,500 years, the philosophy which Plato laid down was the way people looked at the world. It just was. That was the law in terms of philosophy. I'll put it this way: it was the philosophical water in which they all, or the air that they breathed. They weren't even aware of it enough as a segmented piece or tradition. What's really interesting about that is that the Gnostic schools that were occurring at the same time, right? Gnosis being knowledge, spiritual insight. The Gnostic schools of early Christianity derived essentially their entire worldview from this kind of Hellenized Judaism that stemmed from the late Platonist philosophers, which we call Neoplatonists. And so essentially what you end up having is, it's not just Christology. It's not just that. It's not just the study of Christ. It's also this underlying stuff that's super, super important that most philosophers in particular would have taken for granted at the time as their worldview. And there are a couple of things that are coming to prominence now. Words like the Ogdoad, words like demiurge, words like eons and the spheres of causality. These are all Platonic. These were written about in the dialogues of Plato 2,500 years ago. Okay, so they carried forward all that stuff as their prevailing worldview until the time of the Alexandrian school, during that time. And then is when the Christ event was purported to happen. And we can go into that a little bit more, into the particulars of the Gnostic conception of the cosmology and where Christ fits in. What is the necessity? What is the mission of Christ within this? That is very important to esoteric Christianity. Very, very important. It's not something we should sort of, fly past. But in broad strokes, you basically had all of that informed by Neoplatonism. And what you see really, right, you could read it a couple of different ways. You could read it as Christ was this kind of reverse engineered idea or retrofitted onto this pre-existing idea of, let's say, Mithraism, or this idea of Sol Invictus, the savior, really, the hero, the man god, right? You could say that. Or you could also say that since all these things were happening around the same time, it's almost as if that spirit entered into human affairs, that little window. And what essentially that spirit is the freeing of that which is immortal in us from subjection to fate, which as conceptualized at that time it was basically, we were subjects of the archons, or to a certain degree, the gods. And the gods in a lot of cases were believed to be, at least a part of their existence was the physical part of their existence was literally believed to be the planets, the wandering stars. And so these gods required worship and tribute. And really, it was like sucking up to your boss. You either had to get on their good side or make an ally, of some other thing. And there was this cultus of worship and tribute and placating. And essentially, a spirit of transcendence from that, which was already present in, let's say, the theurgy of Iamblichus, who attempted to use the gods to transcend those spheres of causality. To what, degree or not he was successful, only he will know, and his God. But at the end of the day, you have around this time period this idea, this spirit coming into the affairs or the awareness of human beings, that this is the next step. This is the new dispensation. This is where we have to go to transcend materiality. We must step from the sides to the center, become as the sun, and rise to the glory of a new day in the apparent death and darkness that is materiality, not subject to the causal spheres.